Hello and welcome to Badger Talks Quick Picks, which brings exciting happenings, resources, and talent from your UW flagship campus to the people of Wisconsin and beyond. I'm Ella Washotko from Antigo, Wisconsin. I'm a senior studying agronomy with a certificate in organic agriculture in the Department of Plant and Agroecosystem Sciences. With this degree, I aim to pursue a career in sustainable agriculture and soil conservation. I'm pleased to introduce Mike Peters, who will speak on how UW Madison has long followed the tradition of the Wisconsin idea, ensuring we impact lives beyond the classroom and our campus borders. One way that UW Madison meets this mission head on is by having agricultural research stations embedded in Wisconsin's communities. Travel with Mike Peters as we take a photo tour of the history, beauty, and impact of these Wisconsin treasures. Mike Peters has served as the director of the Agricultural Research Stations for the last 7 years. In his 20 years with UW Madison, he has served in various agricultural research and compliance roles. He prides himself in helping scientists and students succeed and makes it his personal mission to guarantee agricultural research work receives the TLC needed to ensure UW is a continual leader in feeding the world. Please welcome Mike Peters.
Hey, thanks, Ella, for that great introduction. And it was really an honor to be introduced by Ella today, one of our rising students in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. She's had the great opportunity to experience some of our experiential learning opportunities that we provide our undergraduate students at our research stations. And I'm really honored and pleased to be able to just kick this off and share what's happening at the research stations. As we do kick off, I do want to take just a moment and mention that the research stations throughout the state are located on lands that were in time immemorial inhabited by our 12 indigenous tribes of the state of Wisconsin. And we recognize that they are our partners in moving forward in our agricultural research mission. So we take time to honor them and recognize that they are indeed collaborators with us. So moving on, I think it's important we recognize that the stations and the University of Wisconsin-Madison has a long history in agricultural research. Looking back into the 1800s, and here's a building that I think many folks from campus will recognize. It is the old dairy barn. Some of the features of this building are no longer there, but the agricultural research started right on campus. And those train tracks you see are run right along the campus drive, and that building is still there. And we already in the 1800s were developing important nutrition research, helping feed the world and figure out ways. And even on campus doing plant breeding, our faculty and our administrators at UW Madison already in the late 1800s recognized that we needed to be more than just on campus. The Wisconsin idea asks us to be out into the state and delivering things. In addition, Wisconsin's diverse. The soil profiles, the climates, everything about Wisconsin is different. And to help meet the mission of UW Madison, it was decided that they would establish research stations that were throughout the state of Wisconsin. And they've ebbed and flowed over time, but the map that you see today in front of you represents the 12 centers that comprise the agricultural research stations. These stations are strategically located throughout the state on unique soil profiles, so we can deliver research for different needs, different types of plants, different types of animals. They require different types of resources. And also, just from the history, I think it's also important to mention that those several of those northern sites resided along rail lines. So in the early days, our faculty member could move by rail and do their research and then actually find their way back to their home base, all traveling by rail before we had the great roads and interstates of Wisconsin today. So let's just look real quickly. We only have 15 minutes today, so this is going to be a whirlwind tour of the stations, but I want to just briefly give you one slide where I talk about the infrastructure of our stations that help us meet the mission for our outreach, our education, and our research that we do at UW-Madison. We have 8,442 acres across the stations. There's 284 buildings that are on those stations, and some of these buildings are quite old. There are several that are 100 years old. There are some, but our average age is over 50 years old. And I think it's important to mention we continue to meet our agricultural research mission, even in those old buildings. Just like the farmers of Wisconsin and throughout the country can use old facilities to get their work done, so do we at Wisconsin. If you were to travel all the roads that just reside within our research stations, you'd have to drive 45 miles. We do employ quite a few people helping to care for our animals and our plants. There's 115 of them. But most importantly, we service over 353 unique researchers. In addition, they employ graduate students and research technicians. So we're talking about just several extra 500 to 1,000 more people that work on the stations every year just to do research. And that means they're doing over 1,300 research projects annually. And I think it's really important to mention the economic driver that this means for the state of Wisconsin and for our university. There's $74 million annually that comes into the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences just for agricultural research work. Now, that's not all used at the station. That helps employ students. It helps the lab supplies that are needed to do the testing back in the lab. But our research stations are the driver for that research and development and that 74 million. And lastly, over 15,000 people will visit our research stations every year, whether it's just to walk through the garden, come in and learn about how they can do some new organic farming techniques, or find out about what the new apple pruning techniques are. These visitors are there to learn, and they're there to get great ideas. So let's dive in. We got to do a whirlwind tour across 12 stations in our 15 minutes together. And let's just start here in Arlington, where I'm seated today. Behind me is the Arlington station, as well as on your screen. And this is the patchwork quilt that really shows everybody what's happening with research and crops. Little plots everywhere. And if you look closely at those pictures, you see differences even within each plot. Every one of those little squares you see is an actual research study in progress at the Arlington station. Located on the Empire Prairie, just north of Madison, Wisconsin, near DeForest. It is our largest station with over 2,000 acres in use. Additionally, at the station, we also have lots of cute critters that are always open for a visit for people to come and see. Just let our facility managers know if you want to stop in. Between dairy cattle, lambs and swine, we have lots of cute critters, and we would love to talk to you about the great research we're doing with those animals as well at Arlington. But time is limited. Let's not linger at Arlington. Let's take a trip down to the southwest corner of the state into the Driftless region, where you'll find the Lancaster Agricultural Research Station. Looking at an aerial of this station, you see that we're looking at the driftless sloping areas of the state of Wisconsin, and it's really one of those pristine areas of the state that require a very unique farming technique. And we are doing research at this station to help figure out how we do the right conservation techniques, how we can grow crops in this area, as well as use the area for grazing correctly to help our beef animals, as well as other ruminant animals graze and be successful. It's an important piece in our wheelhouse of station infrastructure, again, because conservation of these erodible lands is just so important. Got to keep moving, though, because time is tight. Let's move on up to Prairie du Sac, Wisconsin, where I want to show you a dated aerial photo from the 1980s of our USDA Prairie du Sac Dairy Forage Research Center. In collaboration with the USDA, we've managed this center for now over 40 years. And helping our USDA scientists look at better ways to manage the environment and also grow forage crops for dairy animals. And what's really exciting about this is we had a groundbreaking earlier this year, and I'm excited to show you a rendering of what the new Dairy Forage Research Center will look like in another couple of years. Agriculture continues to evolve and change, as do our research questions, and we're really grateful for the USDA's investment in making sure that we have modern facilities to collaborate with USDA and our scientists at UW to make sure we are doing what's right in agriculture to feed tomorrow's population as well as protect our environment. Moving up, we'll leave Prairie du Sac, Wisconsin, and just go straight north. This is probably the station most everybody in the state knows, because when they're running up north on Interstate 39, they all drive right by it and see the beautiful Bucky Badger in the garden. This is the Hancock Agricultural Research Station. Hancock is located on what soil profile of the state of Wisconsin that's known as the Central Sands, which is just a perfect environment when we figured out through UW research how to use irrigation pivots to make sure we could grow crops on this land successfully. We find the high value horticultural crops really are a profitable center growing in this area. We're talking about things like sweet corn, uh, peas, snap beans, and of course, everybody's favorite, the potato. And so we not only grow potatoes and figure out how we can research potatoes to be better and grow better crops, as well as the environmental impacts of growing these crops, but also we research how to store these foods. Because just because we can grow them, it doesn't do anybody any good to have all these potatoes come available all in the month of September and October, and then no way to keep them so that we can make all of our important potato things and have potatoes in the grocery store in January, February, March. So we also research what are the best ways to store these crops, make sure that they're preserved, and make sure that they're fresh to market even when we're in the off seasons. Moving a little bit further to the north, I'd like to just introduce everybody to the Marshfield Agricultural Research Station. Located between the city of Marshfield in Wood County and the city of Stratford in Marathon County is the Marshfield Station. This is a station that is on the heavy antigo-silt loam soils, which really in the early days of Wisconsin, as we transitioned to a dairy economy, found itself as a strong dairy area of the state. And it continues to be, and we are proud to have our Marshfield Station there, where we focus on the environmental integration of dairy into these soil profiles and also looking at how we can profitably dairy in today's economy. Jumping down from the aerial, looking right on the ground at some of these buildings, here we'll find some dairy heifers. And the little crazy piece of equipment you see is us trying to measure methane emissions from heifers that are out on pasture. Again, looking at impacts of dairying and what we are doing to make sure that we can have a sustainable economy for years and years to come in our agricultural sector. Also want to just take a moment and point out that we look at these soil profiles very importantly, and we teach our students about what's going on in there. Here we have our faculty member. We dig a soil pit and looking at the striations of the soil and how our activities as humans impact what's going on underneath the ground. It's a full story that we have to tell of soil to plant to animal, and we're really pleased at the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences to have faculty that take this mission very importantly. And not only do we dig in, we figure out what the soil even smells like. We want our students to engage and be in the ground with the soil and understand it. It's all part of our educational mission here with the research stations at UW Madison. We're running short on time, so let's take a quick drive up to the northwest corner of the state. We will find the Spooner Station. I think you're probably sick of looking at aerials, so let's look at the Spooner Station from the ground. Here at Spooner, we do a lot of work with soybean and the traditional agronomic crops, as well as corn, wheat, small grains, and additionally, the horticultural crops. We do our seed to kitchen work up at the Spooner Station, looking at breeding better tomatoes for better shelf stability, looking at cucumbers for better taste, working with chefs, and we're really pleased to have some elite researchers at the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences that are working to help meet these important food staples for the people to have in their grocery stores. I'd like to keep moving across the northern tier of the state of Wisconsin and just introduce you to the Kemp Station. This station, we don't till ground, we don't grow crops, and we don't have plants that we're looking at, but this is where our natural resources activities happen. Embedded right in off of the lake, you see the boathouse. This is where researchers that are interested in the fishery biology, looking at impacts of climate change on our lakes. They can home base out of that boathouse that you see there, as well as just tucked underneath the trees, you'll find lots of cabins and meeting spaces and areas for researchers to lodge. It's a great opportunity for our students in even the winter months to go up and engage and study the science of forestry, wildlife ecology, and our students can then come indoors and be by the fire to warm up after they've walked around in snow. Quick stop over at Rhinelander, which is close to our Kemp Station that was in Woodruff. You'll find our Rhinelander Station, a station that is solely focused on breeding potatoes. I talked a little bit earlier about storing potatoes and why it's important. We start already at when we're developing these varieties of potatoes to make sure that they are able to be bred and bred for stability so that they're able to go for a potato chip even in the off season. Stop over, let's just swing over into the thumb of Wisconsin into Sturgeon Bay. You'll find our peninsular station. These karst limestone soil structures of the peninsular station are really unique and have a lot of runoff issues. So this station helps us look at how we can do cover cropping research. But additionally, this area is well known, and we are proud to provide research in apples as well as grapes. Tart cherries are also grown on the station and researched, and looking at how our insect friends and sometimes pests interact with these very important crops and how we can help manage those. I think it's important though we get on the road and get back to Madison because there's got to be an important football game or something coming up. So let's get back to Dane County. Just a quick introduction to a research station where we look at the third most grown crop in the state of Wisconsin, which is turfgrass. You'll find the O.J. Knorr Research Center, 40 acres, just adjacent to the UW Ridge Golf Course. Here we look at how homeowners interact with their crop as well as helping golf courses, turfgrass managers for our football fields. All of these folks and all of us, most all of us have a lawn that we need to maintain, and we are pleased to welcome them out there for learning opportunities from our researchers to come out and learn about how they can help maintain their lawns, look at different mechanisms and techniques for keeping their lawns safe, and have it to be a great environment for the homeowners and add value to their homes. Two last stations I want to visit with you today at. One of them is the West Madison station. It's just right outside of Madison. If you could see off to the right a little bit on this slide, the Target would actually be there at the West Madison and that shopping center. But there is the West Madison Research Station. Short drive from campus, you'll find this is where we do our intensive breeding, plant breeding research, looking at crossbreeding corn, different plant varieties, as well as having beautiful vineyard areas where our wine researchers and our grape researchers can look at varieties as well as potential table grape varieties that we can grow in northern climates, small greenhouses for research to be done, as well as the traditional agronomic work and looking how that interfaces with the urban environment. And also home to one of the most beautiful gardens I think that we can ever see, an all-American variety testing site. The garden is always open from dawn to dusk every day. And if you want to swing in, if you're in the Madison area, we would love to have you stop in. Last stop is on the heart of campus. You'll find our greenhouse operations where we do probably over 500 research projects every year, looking at the important work, because even when the snow flies in the state of Wisconsin, our researchers are still getting it done for our agricultural producers across the world, really. And they are there to help meet that mission by making sure we have environments to keep that research mission moving forward, even in the dead of winter. I just want to point out as we wrap up here today, I thank you for your time and say that the research that we are doing really supports rural Wisconsin as well as the entire the nation, as well as beyond the borders of our country. And it's really the Wisconsin idea incarnate. And I am so blessed to be able to be the director of these important laboratories for our scientists at UW Madison. But before I drive off into the sunset, I just want to share that there's a QR code on your screen. Scan that. That will take you to ars.wis.edu. You could just as easily type it in if you prefer. It'll take you to our website. You'll find all of our station contact information there. You will also find all sorts of information about our stations. We'd love to have you. There's beautiful gardens at the Sturgeon Bay, Hancock, West Madison, Spooner. Our master gardeners maintain a beautiful garden there. Stop in anytime and have a look. There's so much to learn. Additionally, if you'd ever love a formal tour of our station, you'll find our superintendent's contact information and my information as well. I'd be happy to reach out and chat with you about how we could maybe provide a tour for a group, or come and give you a talk if you'd be interested for anything you're looking forward to. But I thank you for your time, and always on Wisconsin.